what you're seeing here is a Democratic Party that has been out of touch. People have been telling that it's out of touch, and they didn't want to make any significant changes to their message, to their agenda, to their attitude. I think narcissism is at the center of the Democratic Party today. And as long as they maintain that posture, they're going to keep losing elections.
It's purposefully ignorant to say it's misogyny when Hispanic communities on the border voted overwhelmingly for Trump because of the open border. It's like they don't want to know the truth.
Well, this is very interesting. So there's a lot of research over the decades that has said that there's right-wing authoritarianism. The academics have denied that there's left-wing authoritarianism. Now, over the last 10 years, they've been studying it. They find left-wing authoritarianism is very strong, and it basically overlaps exactly with narcissism. So narcissism, of course, people that are narcissistic, they don't want to receive critical feedback. The Democrats have been getting critical feedback from 2016 until on. They've chosen to reject it rather than to absorb it. I think that's why I'm saying this is a party that has not wanted to course correct, has wanted to insist ever more strongly that they're the moral party, the other side of the bad guys. That's why they're not, Democrats are saying we want to learn from the lessons of the past, but they're not showing it with their attitudes. I mean, you just saw some right there.
So they have to fix themselves before they can fix everything else. It's almost like someone wrote a book about this. What was it, Get It Together? God, I was just so ahead of the curve. So you don't see them grappling with this rationally. You can see them just denying until the next election.
Well, and I'll give you an example of it. I mean, so I was a neutral in the election. I didn't take a position on the president. I didn't vote. But I felt an enormous sense of relief on the day after the election. And I was trying to figure out what it was about. My colleagues had felt it. It's because all of us that had been punished, ostracized, stigmatized, demonized by the left, like we were living in a state of fear. I mean, we'd lost so many friends and colleagues because there was this widening totalitarian menace that was just creating more and more enemies, more and more victims. I mean, that's how it ultimately ends up becoming, the left becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until it represents a political minority.
So that's a great point. So they have shrunk as a party, and you look at it demographically and just in terms of raw political power. If you don't agree with them 100%, you're out.
That's what happened with me. I mean, and so you start asking more and more questions, and the level of intolerance goes up and up. So yeah, it's basically self-fulfilling prophecies. That's why you see Elon Musk, you see Tulsi Gabbard, you see Robert F. Kennedy Jr., me, others that raised some hard questions for Democrats over the last 10 years and were shouted down and demonized. And after a while, you're like, this isn't my party anymore.
They kicked all the independent thinkers out of the party. And then they lost, and they're trying to figure out what happened.
And I'm not saying that that's like the main reason. I think, inflation, the borders are big issues. But that fundamental intolerance, it's so counter to what the Democratic Party was, at least for me in my youth, when it emphasized free speech, free and open debate. It's become a party that has made its politics a religion, and it has all the intolerance associated with it.